Who are the best prospects in the UFC right now? Today I'm going to determine the best prospects in every weight class in the UFC. But what defines a prospect? The criterion we will use to determine a prospect is the following. The fighter must be under 30 years old, the fighter cannot be ranked, and the fighter must have had 3 or less fights in the UFC. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, subscribe, and comment any of your own opinions down below. Let's get right into it. The first division we have is obviously the lightest division, the flyweight division. I was originally for this division gonna pick Steve Erceg, and then I realized he's fucking ranked and fighting for a title next, so that doesn't work. So I went to a younger star, a guy a lot of people probably won't know because it's flyweight. But we've got Joshua Van as the best prospect in the UFC flyweight division. My reasoning for this was, firstly, he had a hard first fight. Zhalgas Zhumagulov was a difficult challenger, even if Zhalgas was on like losing streak because he kept on getting fucking robbed. It doesn't matter. Zhalgas is a good fighter. That was a good first fight, and he won that fight, even if it was maybe controversial. Hey man, he won it. He has great straight punches, and he mixes up his punches to the body a lot. He throws a lot of nice body work, but the issue I have with his body work is it's a lot of it's against the cage when he probably needs to do a bit more of the body work like in actual striking transitions instead of just doing it against the cage. But he still mixes up nicely, great straight punches. And this guy is 22 years old. He has so much room to grow. If the UFC don't rush him, even if flyweight is a fucking dogshit division, do not rush this guy. Give him bums for a little bit like you do with Sean O'Malley. Let him build up. In like 2-3 years, let him fight a ranked opponent. Just build him up. He's good right now. Do not ruin him. Let's build him slowly. Let's not pull a Sage North cut. Let's be smart here, UFC. Build this guy slowly. The cons this guy has, however, the main con with this guy is he's flat-footed, which makes him susceptible to leg kicks. He's been leg kicked not really that much in his career, but there has been moments where he's been leg kicked and he doesn't check it. He kind of just takes it because he's flat-footed. So that's something he can improve on. Another thing is he's a slow starter. Every single fight, he's had 3 fights in the UFC. Every single fight he's had, he's lost the first round. So he needs to improve on starting faster, not being flat-footed. But he's a young guy. He's an up-and-coming guy. I believe in him. I think he could be a high-ranked guy in the future. I think he's the best prospect in the flyweight division. In the bantamweight division, we have a guy that's been very talked about for his win that happened a few days ago. We've got Peyton Talbot. I think this guy is the clearest fucking prospect we have on this list. This guy is an elite fucking striker. He is so devastating with his strikes. If anyone watched that Cameron Simon fight, even as much as it hurt me because I'm South African, that fucking knee he landed, disgusting.
Looks like he's found his.
Oh my God!
Those shots he landed, the fucking hook he landed to finish the fight, disgusting. This guy hits with 100%. He hits with absolutely devastating fucking power, and he can put anyone out in this division. This guy is insane. He's a very good prospect. He's had a couple fights in the UFC. I think it's 2 fights in the UFC for him right now. The issue I see, which is actually from his first fight, takedown defense, kind of mid. The takedown defense is kind of mid. He can improve on it though. Young guy, he's 25 years old. Yeah, in that first fight he had in the UFC, he got taken out a lot. Still ended up getting the finish, so doesn't really matter. But that's an issue I see for him in the future. He's also very untested in grappling. The only test he's had was a failure, I guess you could say, because he got taken down a shit ton in that fight and just got held on the ground. But this guy is fucking an elite striker. He reminds me of O'Malley's come up in the bantamweight division. This guy is constantly on the forward pressure. He's constantly hitting with everything he's got. And he's a fucking based fighter. If you guys saw his interview with Ariel Helwani, great personality. I really like the guy. Even if he knocked out a South African gem that I thought would be something. It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter. He's very good. Elite striker. If we see Talbot versus O'Malley, that is going to be fucking insane. Because Talbot will be better at striking at that point. O'Malley will be his best form. Oh my word. But UFC, actually push this guy. Fuck it. I believe in him, bro. Push him against the striker, though. He called out Dominic Cruz. I'd like to see that fight. Because Dominic Cruz is not going to take him down. He's not going to be a bitch ass. We get to see Tallboy kind of just fuck on Dominic Cruz. Hey man, I want to see it. In the featherweight division, we have another fairly simple one. We have Diego Lopez. Diego Lopez, an absolute fucking Chad, fought Movsar Evloev in his first fight, which is insane experience to have in the UFC for your first fight. And he's just been on an absolute tear since. 2 finishes in his last 2 fights. Fighting, oh my fucking word. Fighting Sadiq Yusuf yet next, which is going to be a fucking interesting fight to watch. I'm very excited for that one. This guy is the whole package. This guy can strike, he can grapple, he's got insane submissions. The issue is, with those submission attempts that he pulls, he puts himself in shitty situations sometimes. In that Evloev fight, he was pulling guard a lot, like accepting guard so that he could go for submissions, which does not work in the UFC. People, UFC fighters, stop fucking doing this, please. There's UFC fighters who keep allowing people to take them down because they think they're going to get a submission, and it doesn't work. The Paul Craig experiment shows you that this shit did not work. It will never work. Just please stop doing this, Lopez. And you are insane. You are a fucking elite talent. Please. You can strike, you can submit people, but don't rely on submissions every fight. Just chill, man. Don't pull guard. Don't allow people to take you down. Work on that takedown defense, you know? And another issue I see with Diego Lopez is he leaves himself open a lot of the time. He'll go in for finishes and he'll leave his chin open to get hit, you know? But that's something you can work on over time. You can work on the defense. You're not going to fight killers yet. I don't think Sadiq Yusuf is going to finish Diego Lopez. You know, I think we're good on that. But this guy needs to stop allowing people to take him down for subs, and he is an elite fucking prospect. He already is an elite prospect in this division. He's already fighting a ranked opponent next. In 3 UFC fights, he's solidified himself in the division as a guy right outside the rankings. We'll see against Yusuf. If he can win that, he'll be a ranked fighter. And then he's not a prospect anymore. Then he's a valid guy. But we'll see. I think this guy is so talented. He's such a talented finisher. And I'm excited for that Yusuf fight. At lightweight, I think this might have been the hardest division to find someone. There is not a lot of well-known names or guys that I knew that I could pull out the fucking bag for this one. But I've got 4 names down that I found from watching tape and looking up people that I think are good. I'm going to go from worst out of these guys to best out of these guys. I'm going to start with Mohammed Naimov. The reason this guy's not higher, he should probably be the best prospect in this division, but he's a fucking cheater. I will never forget what you did to Nathaniel Wood, you bitch ass. You are not the fucking best prospect, you fuck. I hope you get knocked out, you pussy. The next fighter we have, is Nurullo Aliyev. I think this guy could be higher up, but he's fucking boring as shit. The tape I watched on him was boring as shit. He's just a relentless grappler. He's one of those guys who will just fucking grapple. I haven't seen any striking on this guy. He has untested ass striking, but we'll see how he develops. I think he's a decent prospect to watch out for in the division. If you put him against strikers, he's just gonna fucking roll people, but he's a good prospect to watch out for. Then you have Nazim Sadyakov, a guy who trains with Aljamain Sterling, Merab Devashvili. You think he's better. I was not overly impressed with the tape I watched. I wasn't unimpressed, but I could not put this guy at number 1. He's a clean kickboxer. He's a chill little, good striking, you know. His takedown defense is a bit sus though, which is odd because he fights with fucking 2 of the best grapplers in the division. But, okay. But he's a clean kickboxer. That's what he is. He's a decent kickboxer. You know, he drew his last fight though, which also brings him down on the ranking. That's why he's second. And then number 1, we have a Mexican fighter. We've got Manuel Torres. I like the look of this guy a lot from his tape. This guy looks like an exciting fucking prospect. He is a fucking insane finisher. 3 UFC fights, finished them all in insane fashion. Disgusting fashion, disgusting finishes. He's also a great kickboxer like Sadyakov. And he mixes up kicks very well in his attacks, like with the punches. He's very well-rounded. He's shown some sort of grappling ability in his fights, in the 3 fights he's had. So he looks like a well-rounded guy. He mixes up his striking a lot. And he's got great clinch work. He throws great knees in the clinch, great strikes in the clinch. Again, mixes up in the clinch against guys.
This guy is a well-rounded beast for this division. I think he's gonna go far in this division, to be honest. The only issue I have with this guy is actually there's a few issues. I have a few issues with this guy. He leaves his chin up a lot. If you put him against an elite striker, like if he makes it to ranks and he starts fighting guys like Justin Gaethje, Fiziev, they're gonna catch his chin and it's gonna be wraps. He needs to keep his chin lower, tuck your chin, buddy, please tuck your chin, and you're chilling, okay? But I feel like that could lead to him getting fucking devastating knocked out, full horse style, like just get fucking rolled. He's also quite untested in the grappling. He has showed decent grappling ability, but he is still very untested in the UFC and grappling because he's mainly a striker and he mainly finishes guys on the feet. And his gas tank is also really untested because he's finishing these guys in the first round. A lot of his fights are finishes in the first round. So, untested gas tank, untested grappling, but I think he can improve on those things. He's a young guy. I think he's like 28. I could be wrong. I think he's like 28. I'm going to fact check that. Fact check. He's 29 years old. So he's not like real, like he's just on the border of being a prospect, but still regardless, I like the look of this guy. I think you don't have to slow build him, but give him more challenges. Give him a takedown artist next. See how he does against that. And then we keep building him. I think this guy's a great prospect to have in the division. I think he's the best prospect in the lightweight division. In the welterweight division, I thought we had a clear guy in Michael Moraes, but he's unfortunately had 4 UFC fights, so he's not allowed on this list. So we have another clear guy. We've got, I can't say his fucking name, but Muktabek Oralbai. Let's just call him Oralbai. Oralbai, there was a lot of talk on this guy because he has a round ass fucking face. You know, he looks a bit funky, but he's actually a good fighter. I watched a lot of his tape in, I think it was LFA, and then his one UFC fight, obviously. He is a really, really good grappler with great takedowns. He's an elite grappler. This guy looks like he could be a menace in this division with grappling. Welterweight does, however, have some very quality grapplers of their own, with Colby Covington, Usman, just those are the most notable ones. But there is a lot of grapplers in this division, so you need to have that grappling ability. But this guy is also a fucking power puncher. If you watch his LFA fights, the finishes and the shots this guy is landing, he had a fight where he knocked the guy up with one of the cleanest uppercuts I think I've seen in my fucking life. That uppercut was disgusting. It was sent from the heavens, and he is great strike, like decent striking, pretty good striking. He doesn't rely on it a lot though. He does a lot of his work in the grappling phase of fighting, but he does have good striking. He's got ridiculous power in his hands. He does, however, I don't know if I like this or if I don't like this, but he throws a lot of hook shots, a lot of good hook shots, but I think he should mix it up a little bit in his striking. Stop throwing so much hook shots. Let's throw some straight punches. Let's throw some, wacky shit also, whatever. Throw something besides hook shots. But besides hook shots, he does throw in kicks quite well. I'll give him that. He throws in nice teep kicks, nice kicks to the body. And they have insane power because he's a fucking absolute Giga Chad with his power. But I think he should throw a bit more straight punching, lead behind the jab a little bit more. And the only con I have with this guy is he's untested in the UFC. One fight in the UFC. You can't really judge a guy off that. But he is the guy I'm picking for welterweight because I've seen some of his LFA tapes. And I like the look of the guy. I think he's an exciting guy to watch in the division. I think he's going to get a decent matchup next, I hope. I hope he gets a good matchup next, Let's see him. Let's test him even more. Let's test him in the grappling. Let's see if someone can take him down. Let's see, let's just fucking test him and see if this guy's the real deal. But I think this guy's a good prospect to watch out for in the welterweight division. In the middleweight division, we do not have Ikram Alexeirov. If anyone fucking says that he's 31 years old, leave me alone. He's not under 30, does not meet the criteria, but he would have been my pick, okay? He's 31. I've actually, an interesting dynamic for this one. I've got 2 guys who are fighting each other in a few days. We've got Nursultan Rozibov, and we've got Cedriques Dumas. I think Rozibov is going to beat the shit out of Dumas, but if I'm wrong, I pick both of them. Whoever wins is the biggest prospect, okay? With Rozibov, the things I've noted is he had a very difficult first fight in his debut. He fought a guy who had just come off knocking out RoboCop. You know, insane knockout. He is a short guy for the division. I mean, he's 5'10", and this guy is a fucking unit. He's 6'5". He's a 6'5" middleweight, and he looks like an absolute tank. And with that 6'5" range, he does use his range decently. He does have very heavy hands. He's mainly a submission guy. However, he is kind of a mix. He does the submission game, the takedown game, and he has the heavy-handed game, you know, the punching game. You know, this guy's a well-rounded guy. I like him. He has a bunch of octagon experience too. I think he's like 33-8 record, and he's under 30. It's fucking insane. This guy fought everyone they offered him in his other companies, but he's got a shit ton of MMA experience. Very well-rounded guy. He can strike. He can grapple well. You know, I'm excited for this guy, and I think he's going to destroy Cedriquez. But Cedriquez was another guy I had on the list. I didn't even realize these guys were fighting when I was doing this shit. But the only way Cedriquez wins, I think, the Rozibov, he has very untested cardio, and the cardio worries me. Because if you look at his 8 losses, I think like 80% of them are decision losses. They're like all his losses are decisions. It worries me because it shows me that towards the end of fights, he'll fade. So if he doesn't get Dumas out there instantly, like first round or first round and a half, he's probably cooked, but maybe he's improved on that with all the experience he's got. We can only hope. With Dumas, I never expected to have this guy as a top prospect after his fight with fucking Josh Friend, where he just got rolled. But he's brought it back in his next 2 fights. He's a decent grappler. He's also a tall guy. He uses his range very well in his striking. It's just the cons I have with this guy. He's fucking boring as shit. When he has the good grappling that I said, but he just holds people. He doesn't ground and pound. He'll just hold people on the ground like fucking the most boring shit ever. And you know, he has no aim to finish. There's no like desire to finish. He'll just sit on top of you, get the win. So I hope Rozibov wins this to save the prospects in the middleweight division. Save some hope. But you know, those 2 guys, whoever wins that, watch it this weekend. Whoever wins that, best prospect in the middleweight division. Next, we have the light heavyweight division, which 100% has the worst prospects on this list. This was a fucking struggle to find anyone in this division who met all the criteria that I stated. But I've got 2 names. I'm going to name second place first. In second, the second best prospect in the light heavyweight division, we have Rodolfo Bellato. This guy's only had 1 fight in the UFC, and it was rough. He got knocked down. I thought, like, watching the tape, I thought he would have gotten fucking rolled. But he came back like an absolute Chad, and he ended up winning the fight. This guy has a lot of pros and a lot of cons, however. One pro I've put down, he's an absolute jacked beefcake. This guy is huge. Like, he is built, man. He looks like an absolute demon. But there's also an issue with that. His gas tank could be fucking dog shit because of how beefed he is. You know? This guy, another pro I have with him, forward pressure. He fucking presses the shit out of people. The fight he had in the UFC, he put constant pressure on. I like the pressure he puts. He's also really power punching, but a lot of the guys in light heavyweight are power punchers. So this kind of adds up. The cons I saw, a very big con I have with him, he has like non-existent head movement. This guy does not move his head. He got caught because of non-existent head movement in the first fight in the UFC, and it almost made him lose the fight. I worry about that in the division with such heavy fucking strikers, such heavy power punches. It could come back to bite him. That's why he's second on this list. He's also quite slow. In his fight against, I think it was Vitor Petrino. No, it wasn't. Oh my god. In his first fight against Io Peteria, Peteria was 10 times quicker than him. You could see it in the fight. Peteria was fucking destroying him, but, you know, you come back, you win a fight. Fuck, you know? Now you're the second best prospect in light heavyweight because there's fucking none of them. But yeah, he's slow, he's a scrapper, no head movement, but fuck it, we'll put him second on the list because he's like one of the only guys I can name. And then the number 1 prospect, light heavyweight division, we've got China's own Ming Yang Zhang. This guy is a great striker. He mixes up his striking beautifully. He has insane knockout power too. I mean, the fights he's had, crazy fucking power he shows. He's got good power, good striking. He's very light-footed too. He's quite light on his feet. He bounces around the cage a lot. He's more of that kickboxing, light on your feet style. And he's really entertaining to watch. He throws in a bunch of wild, random techniques like random elbows, spinning back kicks. He throws in a bunch of rogue shit. But, I think this guy's very entertaining. I think he's a great striker. The cons I have with him, he's very susceptible to leg kicks. I think because of that bounce style, you're bouncing a lot. You don't really see the check, so people can attack his feet, his legs very easily, which is a worry I have. If he fights a guy like Israel Adesanya or a kickboxer like Israel, obviously you won't find a kickboxer like Israel Adesanya low down in the division, but I'm saying a guy with that style, he will probably struggle. He also lacks head movement. He lacks he lacks head movement. He doesn't move his head a lot. He kind of has that Alex Pereira type upward style where your head is just kind of in the same place and you use other methods to block strikes. I think he should have a bit more of that head movement aspect. He's also a scrapper, but like I named with fucking Bellato, scrapper. But a lot of the people in this division are scrappers, so it could play in his favor. If he comes against a grappler, though, might not work. But he is a scrappler, and he's also got a lot of untested cardio. He has untested cardio because he's no decisions. Absolutely no decisions on this guy's record. It's only finishes. So that could also be a worry. I worry if the UFC puts him against a submission guy or a grappler guy or a grappler in this division, where they'll just take him down and fucking wrestle fuck him, and then he's just finished. But we'll have to see. We'll see where he goes. I like him. He's like the only fucking good Chinese fighter in the top weight classes in the UFC, like the higher weight classes. But I think he's an exciting guy. Watch out for Ming Yang Zhang, best light heavyweight prospect. And then the final division we have the fat boys. We've got the heavyweight division. I think this one's fairly simple. We've got a guy who's coming off a big win against Muhammad Usman. We've got Mick Parkin from England. I like this guy a lot. I watched one of his earlier fights in the UFC, and I like the guy a lot from there. But now that he has like a big win against someone of the Usman surname, someone who looked like a lot of guys' top prospects, even if he's fucking 35 or whatever he is. But I like this guy a lot. I think he's got a lot of potential. I think he's sort of like an Aspinall type. He has really clean striking, like very clean striking that he mixes up quite well. He's also very patient in his approach. He's quite a patient fighter, He'll take his time with things. He in the UFC, he's only had decisions, so I think that shows the patience he has in his fights. But this guy relies on leg kicks a lot, which I like. I think you can get guys in a heavyweight division with leg kicks. I think that's the main reason Taito Ivasa made it up the rankings, because his leg kicks were so good. I think leg kicks could be a big factor in a division like heavyweight with such unskilled fat ass fuckers. I think there's hope for him to exploit that weakness on people who are like terrible. Most heavyweights are terrible. Fight me. But also another thing I noticed, I watched his Contender Series fight. He's a decent grappler. Like, he won that fight by submission, rear naked choke. This guy is a decent grappler. He got a nice takedown in that fight, transitioned it into a rear naked choke. He just hasn't tapped into that in his UFC career, really. He's mainly relied on the striking, which just shows he's a well-rounded guy, Solid. The cons I have with this guy, it's kind of a pro I mentioned, the patience aspect. He's a decision machine. All his fights in the UFC decisions, it can be boring. He might not get, like, elite popularity being, the decision machine. Like, Evloev kind of is also that decision machine in featherweight, and no one fucking likes Evloev. So, Mick Parkin, I like him. He's just could be a bit boring. He also needs to improve his head movement. A lot of these prospects, they just fucking ignore head movement, man. Work on your head movement, Mick. Do not get caught by these heavyweights because you don't have head movement. These fat asses do not get caught by like a Chris Barnett fucking wheel kick because you don't have head movement. I believe in you, Mick Parkin. Work on that head movement, buddy. And then a little extra segment I want to add. A guy that is due to have his UFC debut that I like, but I can't put him on the list obviously because he's not in the UFC yet technically, but he does have a fight booked against Bresky, but yeah, it's Walter Walker. I like the look of this guy a lot. He's fucking massive. He's 6'6". He's an absolute beefcake. He's ripped. He's a ripped 6'6" heavyweight. Who the fuck would have thought you'd ever see that? He mixes up his striking very well. He's quite a well-rounded guy. He uses grappling and striking in his approach. Like, he has decent grappling. It's not really tested yet. He's not a complete bum at grappling. He has that, like, slight thing whereas most guys in the heavyweight division are bum grapplers. So, you know, that's an advantage to have. He mixes up his striking well. He throws in kicks here and there, you know. He's quite a patient fighter. He has a lot of decisions in his performances outside of the UFC. Like, it shows good patience. He's also made it to a 4th round. He had a title fight in one of his other promotions, and he made it to a 4th round. So that's good experience to have at heavyweight. The cons I have with this guy, obviously, no high-level experience. He hasn't fought in the UFC yet. And his opponents have kind of been bums. Kind of like bum fighters. They're kind of shit. If you look at their records, they're like fucking even records or just slightly like above even record. Like, they'll have decent wins, but like a lot of losses on the side also. I want to see this guy. I'm excited for his UFC debut because then that'll show a lot. That'll show if he's ready for the big time. But watch out for this guy. Walter Walker is a guy you should watch out for. Not the top prospect. Top prospect in the heavyweight division, Mick Parkin. And there we have it. There is my best prospects in every weight class in the UFC. If you enjoyed this video, like the video, subscribe, comment any of your opinions. If you agree, disagree with any of my prospects. If you have any guys you can recommend me that I maybe didn't name on the list, I would appreciate it. Put in the comments. I'll do my research, okay? Maybe we'll do another one of these in like a year. And they might make the list, you know? Thank you for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Woohoo!